Friday night. It's Neil Atkinson with John Gibbons and Craig Hannan in Erding, the home of Erdinger, our long-time partners. It's a pleasure to be able to talk about that a little bit more in part two, but we're in their hotel de facto for this one, for this Friday night. We're doing it on Thursday afternoon, because we are over for an enormous beer festival that we will talk about as well as we go all the way through. But before then, we'll start to talk about matters that pertain to the Reds. Coming up, we're going to do some Mo Salah contract chat, as that's very much got our attention. But John, I want to start off just with the reality that it couldn't have gone any better so far. You know, I think that's ultimately for me the brightest part of this. I'm not having another moment of enjoying the Manchester United thing, because the Manchester United thing, as I argued all the way through, was a side that's vastly superior, goes to the away ground, a difficult away ground, but goes to an away ground and shows their superiority. For me, that's almost the most heartening thing. They just made Manchester United look like what they are, which is a mid-table side, and Liverpool look like a championship challenging side.
Yeah, I'm delighted with how it's gone, because, you know, you've been laughing at me all week since the United game, because I was a little bit nervous approaching that in the summer. I had that on the horizon, because I was always almost painting this best case scenario and worst case scenario in my head. And the worst case scenario was that we drop points in one of the first two games, we don't sign anyone, the window closes, and then we get beat at United, and everyone's head falls off, probably including mine. Yeah. To be honest with you, United are above us in the table. They've signed this, that, and whoever, and it's looking like it's going to be a tough slog for the new manager. But then there was a best case scenario, which was, you know, you get an Italian international in that you weren't necessarily expecting. You win your first two games well, and then you go to Old Trafford and batter them, and that's what's happened. Listen, it's not the complete best case scenario. We'd all love an extra midfielder, and I know you're particularly keen on the defender as well, Neil. So we're not here saying like we've had an incredible summer.
No, because we know they wanted a midfielder. Yeah, we've got to keep saying that. We've got to be honest about it. Yeah. We keep saying they wanted a midfielder. They could have made it any clearer. They wanted a midfielder.
Yeah, and so it's not. We're not sat here saying like Liverpool are in the perfect position, but from where we were looking sort of in June, with how much there was to do and all of that really, and how much, you know, you had to have some concerns about a new guy coming in, because it's the unknown. And so if you're just saying everything's going to be fine and everything's going to be brilliant, then you're almost sort of kidding yourself a little bit, which listen, is fine if you want to do that. But I think having a little bit of trepidation going into a new era with a new head coach is perfectly normal. But at the moment, the team and him have passed, you know, everything with flying colours, and so we're feeling good. There's only two teams who were on 9 points, and we're one of them, and the other one's probably to be expected. So yeah, the Erdinger tastes good today.
I mean, the Erdinger tastes good in general. It tastes phenomenal here. Craig, there is a wider sort of point here, which is I've enjoyed how calm everyone is, and not just calm in the football sense, but calm off the pitch as well, going all the way back. I know you said when we were lucky to be in the States, and Curtis comes in to do the first press conference, and Curtis is pretty cool anyway, but he couldn't have been any cooler, any calmer, any more confident, and that's just gone all the way through all of this now. And then the aftermath of the Man United game, I think the manager, you get to see him genuinely celebrate the goals. I think he did feel it's significant, this, you know, to win, and it's that many people, and he knows it's the biggest game in the world, everyone's watching, so let's be clear. But even then afterwards, it was like, yeah, but this is what we should do. I've enjoyed that vibe. That vibe's come out of Virgil. I'd argue it's come out of Canate. I think it's come out of, you've seen it in performances, you've seen it in interviews. I think the vibe of them is they expect excellence, and they're producing excellence, and no one's looking for any hiding places, and that's what I'm banging to.
Massively. I think you're right. I think those players expected excellence last year, and so why, when a new manager comes in with that drop, it wouldn't. The thing is, for a new manager, the biggest challenge, particularly for this one, is coming in after the one before him and getting that buy-in from the players around him. And it seems as if he has, from the off, actually. You know, what you mentioned Curtis Jones there, how excited he was being a new manager, the new message, and you hear Salah in the interview the other day talking about it as well. You just see this manager that has come in, and when everyone else is saying, you're following Jurgen, he's like, no, this is a good thing. This is fine. I'm here to win. He has this air of like certainty about him, which I really, really like. Like this air of like, I know exactly what I'm doing, confidence, very clear in what he's trying to say and what he's trying to put across. And that's obviously come across to the players, because it's been a perfect start on the pitch. Like, you know, we would have liked transfers, but when you look at the 3 games, you know, the manner of the opposition, a new side coming up, opening day, you know, obviously Man United in there, Brentford a decent side and looks so this season. But everything about this Liverpool side tells you that, you know, what they're doing and what they're trying, the journey that they're on is, the trajectory is this way. They're not perfect yet. They're not claiming they're perfect yet.
No.
Slot is saying in every press conference when they're saying they're brilliant today, going, yeah, but this and this and this.
Keeper had too much to do.
Exactly.
Against Man United. We've got the fella, the previous fella on the foot of the glass there that Craig's drinking from, John. I liked the start of last season, there was no hiding places. The way the year before had gone. I was reading the audio book last night. I finally managed to finish all the recordings. It's driven me mad. Thank you, I'm really pleased. It's driven me a bit mad, but I've got it finished last night. And I was talking about, at the end, I was talking about the 2022-23 season, and I was talking about 23-24. And what I loved at the start of 23-24 was no one felt sorry for themselves. No one went, well, it was hard last year, so it's going to be impossible this. Instead, the idea was it wasn't good enough last year, so it's going to be better this. What I've really liked is that idea of no hiding places, no excuses, has just continued. It'd be easy for the whole club to have gone, we've just lost an inspirational manager. And instead, the standards, if anything, they've gone up.
Yeah.
The idea is, no. Last season was pretty good, but we all know it should have ended better. So this season, okay, the challenge is go and be better than last season. I'm so into that. It's been the best thing about the whole thing.
There was a determination last summer to put it right, wasn't there? Jurgen, everything that you're hearing from him and hearing from people around the team was that they're working so hard to, last year wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough for this football club if we want to put it right, and that's how they attacked the season, and they attacked it really well. And so obviously into March we were in the hunt for every trophy possible. This summer I really enjoyed the positivity. I've loved the fact that the most relaxed man about taking over from Jurgen Klopp is Arne Slot himself. Do you know what I mean? Lots of people have said, oh, it's a poison chalice, and he's like, don't be ridiculous.
It's a great chalice.
Yeah, it's a
delicious
chalice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, because he's in that situation where, because like Craig says, he's confident in himself, so that's a factor as well. But also he's like, the squad's brilliant, and he's saying like, this is a gift. Do you know what I mean? How many people get to take over from a manager who's built this brilliant squad and is also just saying, I'm just a bit done in, I'm just a bit knackered. It needs younger mind. It needs someone who's got the energy for this job. And my, he's got so much energy for the job. And what's really nice as well is for the fellow on the glass, is that he's just been proved right. So I think normally with any other manager, he's like, you think, oh, do you reckon he's a bit gutted that they're running around more for him and stuff like that? He's probably sat there in Paris having a lovely time going, see, I told you, look, I was fucked, you weren't listening to me anymore. I told you they needed a new fella. Look at this guy go, isn't it great? And so he's like, instead of like looking bad on Klopp, he's almost like vindicated. He's been a brilliant manager for Liverpool. He's been great. He's won everything. And he's also picked the perfect time because he knows himself so much that you want to go and get a new fella in. It looks like the guy that they've got, is perfect for the the next few seasons for Liverpool, and he's doing great. So both managers, I think, are coming out of it really well. 10 out of 10 for both of them.
I also could
have asked for any more.
Honestly, yeah.
I also think because we held him in such high regard that this idea of like anything after him just felt like it felt horrendous, because we saw him as this, like, we held him up as this genius, even though he constantly told us that is not what he was. He's just that he's the normal fella. And so I think for the footballers themselves, what they'll have loved actually is, for Mo Salah looks rejuvenated. He looks like this new man in a new job. He's so excited about this new challenge. One of the reasons probably is that he played under this manager that we all said was a genius and is, and we loved so much, but they fell short lots. They fell short a lot of times, and there's only so many times you can do that before it becomes like, it does toil and it becomes like really, really difficult. This new manager just feels as if it like breathes new life into all of these players who have been listening to the same messages. They've been doing the same things in training. Now they're doing something different. Now they're playing it in a similar way to Jurgen Klopp, but like with these subtle differences that are making all the difference.
I think on that, everyone's sort of wondered out, and when he first arrived, how he's going to win around. There's a lot of big characters, a lot of big players, a lot of players who've got a lot of experience.
Winning football matches.
That's what I think he said, we're going to win.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I don't think it's very complicated. I think he's looked at all the winners and said, we're going to win and we're going to ideally win more. Watch this, let's go. And that's what we're in it for. And and that's why it was so important he didn't do it'll take us 6 months or anything like that.
5-year plan. They're all unfit, which is the favourite thing a new manager does. And every manager's got a cough for it because they're all in coots.
Yeah. I've got them back late. Yeah.
Basically, so we need to get the fitness up, and the last fella's got to go, well, I've got a cough for this because I'm going to do it to the next fella as well.
My job, my next job.
The only project here is that Liverpool are going after the league title, and I think, you know, Slot's obviously not going to come out and say that, because fucking hell, that would be putting out there as a new manager. But that's what he'll be thinking. He'll be thinking, I came second.
That's what Virgil and Salah have all but said. Virgil and Salah have all but said we're trying to win this league here.
Yeah, he actually all but said it himself. He said they finished third last season. We want to improve on that. Now, you know, you only need to marginally improve to become second. Well, we're not bothered with second. We want first here, and I think he'll want first. I think this air of confidence is because he backs himself, he backs his ideas, and he's looked at the squad and gone, this is fucking brilliant, this squad.
Last thing before we talk about Salah's contract in particular, John, because there's been what feels like a bit of news around that, is I want to touch on where they've found themselves in terms of what comes next. We can now see the fixture list. We can now see how it's going to be. You know, there's the 2 games against the 2 Italian sides, international break, the 2 games against the 2 German sides, international break, the 2 games against the 2 Spanish sides, international break, and then some mad shit in January. But what I think, again, the manager post Old Trafford says, last time this club was in the Champions League, at the same time as being in the league, it struggled, so we've got to improve. And I just think he loves laying a gauntlet down to these players. You know, like, and that's what he'd be saying to them last time. Lads, you've all told me you're winners, but last time it didn't go quite as we'd all liked. You got beat 4-1 at Napoli. That's what the act of winners. And I think he'll have that in mind, but I think it does become the challenge, and that's where it does loop back to the transfer conversation a little bit. They've got to dig each other out. They've got to all work. It's now not going to be just done with 12, 13 lads. You know, Conor Bradley has probably got the 12th most minutes so far. It's going to be done instead with the idea that 16, 17, 18 of them all adhering to the same values and standards.
Yeah, and that's what he'll have been saying to the lads who have been missing out so far, and some of them have been unlucky, you have to say. You know, I thought Harvey Elliott was brilliant in pre-season, and you know, there's been games where he's not even come off the bench, never mind sort of started, and so that would have been sort of tough for him. You know, you look at the likes of Cody Gakpo, who maybe thought after the great Euros and a Dutch manager, oh, I'll be starting, and then sort of hasn't. There's others, there's Quansah, who's taken out the team at half time and not been able to get back in since, and others as well. You mentioned there Bradley, who I think the manager seems to really like. I think, you know, he's obviously trying to protect Trent, but I think there's a bit of him who just wants to get Bradley on the pitch because he really enjoys what he's bringing. And so there's a lot of players who I think he's probably been asked to be a bit patient, but he said, you know, very soon these games are going to come thick and fast, and we're going to need everyone, you know, be that sort of off the bench, but you're getting 20 minutes, half an hour rather than 5-10, or for starts, you know, in these games as well. The same players can't start every game. You know, they're looking really good at the moment, and that is where, you know, the midfield question does come in on are they a starter short, if that makes sense. I know you can only start 11, yeah, but, you know, are they a starter short in midfield? I think they are, but, you know, but other areas of the pitch, you know, there are people who are going to be, you know, required and asked upon to not just, you know, not just play minutes for Liverpool, but win games, because we know what it takes to win a league title. You know, Craig says before they're going for the league. I think they are as well, but we know, you know, you can't just draw the game and go, oh, it's all right, we rested 6. Do you know what I mean?
No, like, you cannot do that at all.
You can't sort of do that. You can't throw any away, and the manager will know that. He'll have studied it. He'll have known how many points it takes to win a league title in this country, and so he'll be sort of aware of that, really. And so these lads who aren't featuring too much now, you know, they need to be ready, but they seem ready. You've seen very little for me in terms of like grumblings and stuff like that.
Absolutely, I think everyone understands it.
Yeah, everyone sort of gets it, and they look sort of ready, and everyone looked delighted, obviously, to win at Old Trafford. And you know, I love the Diaz celebration, and Nunes is sort of straight over to him and stuff like that. And they're all part of it. They're all going to be, if we want a successful season that we think the squad's capable of, they're all going to have their moments.
One of the things I don't think's talked about enough, because a new manager comes in, and then suddenly because a new manager comes in, it just feels as if that's the beginning. So we start there. But actually, like, that squad has gone through a title race. You know, they fall short at the end of March, but like, they've gone through, like, you know, the week by week, the grinding out results, the winning last minute, the getting through games and holding on to results. Yeah, they did. You know, so I think that holds them in good stead.
Five have won a title.
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, and then you go through the squad, and there's so many players there that have won a lot of trophies for Liverpool. You know, these are winners already. You know, the League Cup as well. Like, these are winners already, and these are players who have been building towards challenging for the league. So why wouldn't it be this season?
We're in Erding. We're with Erdinger. It is the Friday night. It is a pleasure to be here. Back in a second.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
We are at Herbstfest. We are with Erding, and it is Friday night. We are in Erding, the home of Erding. We're delighted to be here. It's been great partnering with Erding all the way back to the Klopp documentary, into last season's Friday night and into this. And because of that, you came last year, and you said we've got to go next year. If it all comes together, if it's during international break, we've doubled in numbers. We've got to go and do it properly. I had a great time last year. What have I got to expect? It hasn't started yet properly, other than me having a walk through Erding, having a little look at this and getting the local brew, which is indeed the business.
Yeah, well, I mean, Erding's a beautiful, quaint German town, first of all, and they've got a big beer tent at the end of that little quaint town. It's just brilliant. It's very traditional German, so everyone's in lederhosen, and it feels as if it's like most of the village has come out. It feels as if every employee of Erdinger's there. Loads of fun, obviously lots of Erdinger, and just a lovely time.
We didn't know what to expect last year. Like, we honestly came with our laptops for a business meeting, and we were like, "What's the agenda?" And they were like, "Oh, what's up with these lads?" Like, wet behind the ears. And the agenda was like, we're gonna drink beer until we can't drink anymore. And so like we kind of, me and Craig kind of put our laptops away and got stuck in. But it was great. And listen, they're obviously proud, here of what they produced and what sort of Erding has become. And like Craig says, people come from all over. And I'm dead excited for you and Ash to experience it. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it obviously as well, because it's great. But do you know, like, I don't know, when you go to an amazing festival and then you go next year with new people and you're like, oh, you're gonna love it.
You got to try this. You got to go here. You got to go to that tent.
That's what I'm really excited about. So it's nice of them to sort of have us here again. It is good to be here, but just like, it is nice to partner with Erdinger. Like, they're genuine, like, just amazing to work with. And
my favourite thing about them is genuinely, and this is not because it's being filmed or anything like that, I say this to everyone, and if, by the way, I've said this to you in the comments, maybe with a little bit less swearing, feel free to throw it in. My favourite thing about the people at Erdinger is how much they love Erdinger. They absolutely love Erdinger. They're so proud of the product. They genuinely are. Whenever you meet with them, whenever you talk to them, they're always going to offer you a pint of Erdinger. They're always drinking one themselves. They do love the stuff, don't they, John? It's like, it feels a little bit like it's a full-time commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. When they come over to Liverpool and see us, it's like you do a tour of like Erdinger pubs where they sell it and stuff like that, which is like great. And I know they are proud of it, and everyone who works there, like, it's a bit cheesy, but it does feel like a big family, and it's a family-owned business, which maybe people don't realise. Like, it's not like, owned by like loads of shareholders. It's not on the footsie or anything like that. It's like, it's still family-owned. The guy who's in his 80s who still sort of owns it, although he's put into a trust, he'll be there tonight, and he'll be about. I'm not sure he drinks as many of these as maybe he used to, but he will sort of have a little tipple and be there. And it's just like, it's been a nice company to be involved with. But what I would also say is, like, they've helped make all that stuff better, and that's the best thing about, like, I'll be honest, like, a few years ago I was a bit like, oh, do we want to work with brands as a business and stuff like that, because do you compromise what you do because of that? But actually, Craig will tell you, you two were more involved with Jürgen, the documentary, than I was, but Craig was massively involved. It made everything better because we had more money effectively, so we could go to Germany more, we could push it more, we could buy more footage. Football footage is fucking expensive, and they were able to do that. But also, like, the Friday night, I think the Friday night's better now because Erding get involved, because like, it's a bit more sort of honed, and we make sure it's every week and stuff like that, and made up their way moving forward. So getting them involved has made the Anfield Wrap better at producing content, which is, I know, what most people are interested in.
It's an international business, but there's a real local feel to it, isn't there? And they massively helped scale things up in Jurgen. Like, we had this idea of what it was, and it was here, and then whenever we brought Erdinger on board and they partnered with us, it just went. It
was important to 4 and 5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
4 and 5. But we were doing the new shoot stuff for 4 and 5. We wouldn't have been able to do it without
massively,
them.
And they just, like, throughout, they've just sort of supported us, and it's never been, can you do this, can you do this, can you do this, can you make it like this, can you say that? There's none of that at all. It's just oh, this is what you do, how can we be involved, like, how can we make it better, how can we lift it, how can we scale it up? One of my favourite things you said about Erdinger, I didn't know we were going to do this, but last year when we were here, and we were going to talk sort of like, about the partnership and stuff, and one of the guys said, we're not talking about the partnership today, we're celebrating life, and just held an Erdinger up and drank his Erdinger. It was like, you'll do for us.
Should we tell the story as well of how we signed up for this year? So they partnered with Friday night last year, and then we were meeting with them on the last day of the season, which was the day after our end of season party at Manford Hall. So we were all drunk. I was really drunk.
Jürgen's last game?
Yeah, Jürgen's last game. So they were all over for Jürgen's last game from Erding. we had the Manford Hall night, really drunk, went out after and stuff like that, woke up, the last thing I want to do is get on the air, but we're meeting up with these lads from Erding, so we're going to have to come from Erdinger, sorry. Got down there. It was red hot as well. We were outside Birkeller. I was so hungover, I was like, I hope they're inside. They were all outside, sleeves up on their Erdinger tops because they fucking love Erdinger. Outside, and we were there, and like we were there with like, you know, a few of the marketing guys we know, but a few of the main fellas as well, and we just got the beers out, and then someone said like, oh, you know, well, we need to talk about that deal, and like one of the main guys was just like, I don't want to talk about business now. Should we just say we're doing it and then we can have a drink? And that just sums them up. We were like, yeah.
What was really funny was I was there for that meeting as well, and I went off to go and do Five Live. Yeah. Well, I went off to go and do Five Live with Mark Chapman, came back over, and you just turned to me just quite quietly and went, oh, that's sorted out. I was like, oh, all right, let's crack on.
Yeah, they don't want to waste a minute. Yeah. They want to have a good time.
And just a little a shout out to Kate as well, who was someone that right at the very beginning helped us get in touch with Erdinger, and to Felix as well. He doesn't work for Erdinger anymore, but was a massive part in getting behind what the Anfield Wrap does and understanding what the Anfield Wrap is and how Erdinger can then get involved in that. So like it's been a dream to work with him, hasn't it?
I really miss Felix. I hope he's alright.
All this is legit.
He'll be here tonight.
Yeah, it would be great if Felix was here. All this genuinely legit, and that was genuinely very organic. I didn't say before I'd write this down. I'd have
thought of some better things to say.
There we are. We'll go from there. I want to talk about the Paul Gorse piece about Salah, John, where I think all the smart noise is that this is a man who's just seemingly really loves his life in Liverpool, wants to be at Liverpool some more, but obviously he's a man who also is able to pull down what sounds like pretty close to 7 figures a week in terms of his life. You know, he's got those decisions to make. They can be seen as quite complicated choices. He's an incredible footballer. He's been our hero. I just think I'm enjoying the mood music. I'm enjoying the noise. To me, it feels as though there's a journey towards Mo Salah still playing for Liverpool in a couple of years.
It's all massively positive, and you know, often in these sorts of situations, you think, oh, you know, always is the player getting a little bit worried, so they're putting things out there and stuff like that. But he just seems so relaxed that I don't think that's the case. I think he's just going on. It looks to me like he's just gone back to Egypt, and his mates are going, what's going on with you? And he was like, I want to stay at Liverpool, it's great. And they've told their mates, Mo Salah wants to stay at Liverpool. And then somehow, I don't want to see the chain, it's got back to Gorsty. Like Paul's my mate, but he keeps his cards very close to his chest on stuff like this. But like, I'd love to know how basically Mo Salah on a team bus, just going, yeah, I want to stay in Liverpool.
I want the flow chart.
Yeah,
Paul, give us
I want
the
the
flow
time frame.
He might not even
15 minutes. Within 15 minutes,
he might not even know the full one. Do you know what I mean? But somehow
Salah to El Ghazi, to El Ghazi's cousin, to El Ghazi's cousin, to
plays 5 aside with Gorsty. So I'd love to know sort of how it's got there. But the point is he's obviously being very effusive over the new coach and how it's feeling at Liverpool, and also it's a reminder to all of us that like it's a great place to play.
It's a massive club.
It's a massive club. It's one of the biggest in the world. I thought it was interesting that because we've been sort of suspecting, haven't we, like Saudi, it's not really happening for the Saudi league, and we've, when we've talked about it, we're like, surely he's looking at it and thinking like that's not all it's cracked up to be. And this has come out in the thing that, in particular, Sadio Mane, who was obviously, you know, his teammate, he's seen him go out there and think, do you know what, he's basically retired. And that's fine if you're ready to, but I'm not ready to. Look at me, I'm amazing. I still score goals. You know, I feel like I've got loads more left in the tank, loads more left in the legs, and I want to go. And Liverpool's a fantastic place to play. And he's a massive family man as well, and like, you know, that's important to him that they see him so settled. Apparently, like his kids like just see themselves as Scousers, don't they? Like they're from Liverpool in their head. Obviously, I'm sure they'd be proud of the heritage and stuff like that. But this is all they've known, really, in terms of, you know, they might not necessarily been born here, but in terms of their conscious lives, it's all been the northwest of England and watching my dad play for Liverpool, and I want more of that. And listen, yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
I want more of that.
I'm just completely get it done. I don't think it necessarily needs to be that complicated. Not least because, and this is obviously me just sort of talking, but if it got to the point where he needed to move on for one reason or another, I don't think he'd have any interest in being a second-class Mo Salah playing for Liverpool. So if, you know, you gave him 3 years, 3 years from where we are now, even to a 2-year extension, and we got, you know, 6. I don't think we'll get 6 months in, there was a problem, but you got to say 15 months in, there began to be, oh God, we're not quite sure about this. I just don't think he'd have any interest himself. I think he'd then say, well, I'd rather go and do something else. I think he's interested in winning the league. He's interested in winning the European Cup. He's interested in Liverpool winning other trophies that he might not play as much of a part in. He's interested in being around this group and being the best version of himself. I just don't think he's interested in bumbling along. So if he has to start bumbling along, I just don't think I either think he's just going to not play football anymore, or he'll just go and do it somewhere else.
The thing you missed out is he's interested in breaking records, and I think that's the show of his mentality, and I think that proves what you've said there. I think you're right. It's one of those things where now that we've won the first 3 games, it just feels like the natural sort of conclusion to the beginning of Arne Slot, the first sort of 2 months, where these 3 players, but in particular Mo Salah, signs a contract. Liverpool probably took a bit of a risk here because, you know, on one hand, you could have got them done early before the new manager comes in and had that little bit of uncertainty taken away. And what they've done is they've waited until the new managers come in, and the new managers looked at him, probably gone, fucking hell, he's brilliant. Look at him, 3 goals, 3 assists. Like,
and also the new manager can use him, you know what I mean? Because one of the things when I was looking at the numbers in the summer was he had Minter when he was at Feyenoord, and Minter was doing loads and loads and loads of graft for him. I'm not saying Mo Salah isn't doing graft, but it is set up a little bit differently. We've seen Szoboszlai runs like no one's business, Jota grafts, if you see what I mean. Salah's constantly involved in games, but it is different from what the new managers, you know, he's got more than one way to play, he's a smart fella. Yeah. And I think what's happened, the new managers looked at him and gone, well, I know how I'm going to get the best out of him.
I agree, and I also, what I thought you were about to say was the fact that he comes at the very beginning of the summer, and so Slot has him from the very beginning, so he's one of the only ones from the leadership group that he has to sort of begin to, well, get buy-in and spread his ideas and speak to and listen to and sort of build a relationship with. So I think he'll have been pivotal to his beginning at Liverpool, and it's proved that 3 goals, 3 assists, as I mentioned. I really, really wanted to get it done, and I'm really, really happy about the interview he does after Man United, because he doesn't do loads of interviews, and when he does them for a reason. And I was actually on the way back from the game, and I could see the reaction to the interview, and I was thinking, shit, as he said he's leaving, like blah, blah, blah. When I actually watched the video, I saw a man who really wants to stay and is sending a message, and he's sending a message to the ownership, and he's sending a message to the football club, and he's saying, look, I'm Mo Salah, I've broken all the records, I've won all the trophies, I'm still scoring, I'm still assisting, I'm still Liverpool's best man, I'm one of the leadership team, the new manager loves me, the fans love me, they're singing my name to me, you know, sign me up again, I'm ready for a new challenge, I'm ready for another challenge, I'm ready to win more trophies for Liverpool. And that's what I'm backing him to do. I think that's why we all want him to sign up. We're not wanting him to sign up because we think that, you know, we'll get a few goals and then, you know, we'll phase him out. There'll be no phasing Mo Salah, as you say. Mo Salah will keep scoring 20 plus goals every season for Liverpool.
It'd be such a massive statement as well for the new entire regime if Salah signs on. You know, obviously it's great for, you know, Richard Hughes, you know, they'll be able to sort of get it done. It's a great tick for the new manager. It's a great, you know, show of sort of support for him. But also, you know, they're going to be looking to recruit players, and they're going to be looking to sort of get new ones in to support the excellent players that what we've got. And if you can just say, well, listen, Mo Salah signed up. You know, chances are Mo Salah's going to be better than anyone we sign in the next 2 years. And that's not me being unambitious for Liverpool. I'm just saying that there's not, you know, I think he's in the top 5 players in the world. I don't care what that award that Craig can't pronounce is, you know, saying, do you know what I mean?
The Rio Ferdinand Award.
Yeah, exactly.
It can go fuck itself.
Yeah, exactly. Mo Salah's in the top 5 players in the world. There's very, very few who any of us, I think, would sort of swap him with. So if he's signing up, you're able to say to the other players, you know, the other players you're sort of looking at, and look, and listen, we know it's a new coach, but look how well we're doing, look at the results again. Look, Mo Salah signed up, this is something special that we're building, come and be part of it. And also, fucking come and play with Mo Salah.
Come and work with him.
Yeah.
Go see what he does around the place, see what his habits are, learn from him.
I gather, sorry Craig, I was told, I've never said this before on the show, but I was told from people around Liverpool that when Mo Salah, the last contract when he was doing, like, they were trying to do stuff that summer, and the first thing the agents and players were saying to him was, what's going on with Salah's contract? Like, and I don't think it was necessarily a case of, he just wants to work with him, do you know what I mean? It was that thing, like, oh, do you want to work with him? What's going on? That was like the first question. So when they signed him to that last deal, they obviously made up because they were getting Salah, but also the fact that they could start saying to these other people, yeah, obviously signed, don't worry about it, you know what I mean? It's there, I mean, you've probably seen it, but it is a massive, massive statement if they can do it, and we get the footballer.
I'm also sick of them talking about his age and talking about this idea of FSG don't do this, and it would have to break FSG's rules. Have you seen him? Like, physically, have you seen him? The goals he scored, have you seen him? The assists, have you seen him? He's Liverpool's best player. You sign him up. You know, he doesn't look like a footballer whose legs are going to fall off. Actually, he's such an intelligent footballer that he'll one that will be able to adapt. And that's why you keep him for as long as you can.
But I think the other part of this, which is, I think the missed part, because he has been in lots of ways quite inscrutable, and I'm pleased he's doing the more interviews, because I think you get to see more of him on the emotional part. I just think he loves playing for us. And more than anything, I mean, I've got a little red circle around Bologna in the Champions League, and I think there's a chance that you don't start Trent and you don't start Virgil, and he gets to captain Liverpool in a Champions League match. And genuinely, like, I'm very rarely in the ground for when they come out. If you certainly don't make a point of it, that one I'd make a point of, in that I'd be so happy to, because I think in the summer, Craig, when we were over and watching, I think he was delighted to be captain in Liverpool in those pre-season games. Like, I think he was so proud that this was part of who he is, and that all seems a little bit, you know, because of the complexities of his identity and the pressures that are put on him. I think he sees that his rise to being a global superstar is through playing for this football club, and this football club's benefited from having him. It goes both ways. We've had it go both ways, but for me, that's the most special thing. I want him to captain Liverpool in a big game this season, not because someone's injured. I want to be crystal clear. I want it to be that the manager's controlled it and Salah gets to walk out, because I think he'd be as proud as punch.
Yeah, and I think he relishes the fact that he's in the leadership group as well. I think that's a massive part for him, and obviously captain Liverpool in the Champions League game would be massive and special for him. But I see a leader now. I see someone that, like, and I think it's because we're seeing him more in these interviews over the past 3 games. You've seen him against Ipswich as well, the Man United game. He just comes across as someone that, like, young players will just be hanging on every word. We know that players like Harvey Elliott he's taken under his wing, but you know, those young players will be watching him every day in training and thinking, fucking hell, but that's the standard. And I don't mean by football. I mean in terms of what he puts in the gym, in terms of, like, his fitness and just everything that surrounds being a footballer and taking it that seriously. That's what it means to be elite. That's what it means to be in the top three. Because Mo Salah at different times through his Liverpool career has been in the top 3 world players. So, you know, stay as long as you can at Liverpool.
There we are.
Please, please, please.
Gone a little bit longer than I thought we'd go, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Loving Erding, loving the Erdinger. Thank you very much indeed to John Gibbons and to Craig Hannan. It's been your Friday night, coming out maybe a little bit earlier than you might expect on Friday, but then it's nice to be able to do good things.